Hey, it's Renee Keel, host of TradeIQ and Chief Operating Officer at BrokerBin, the leading B2B exchange for IT professionals, resellers, and wholesalers. I'm thrilled to introduce TradeIQ to you, the podcast that shares the economic stories of IT hardware resale. Each episode, I interview an industry leader who embodies what it takes to realize success in the ever-changing and highly competitive secondary IT market. What does it truly mean to be an ITAD provider? How do companies mitigate supply chain risks? How can your business thrive amidst changing market conditions that eat away at profit margins? Explore these topics and more on TradeIQ from BrokerBin.com. And while I have your attention, I want to personally invite you to attend a BrokerBin Roadshow. This biannual event brings together ITAD and ITAM providers, wholesalers, resellers, and service professionals all under one roof for 2.5 days of high-value networking. Where else can you make a true, authentic connection with other IT professionals in our industry? Join us in Europe in the spring and in the US in the fall. Learn more and register at BrokerBinRoadshow.com. When resale and reuse come to mind, companies like Alta Technologies rise to the forefront. Alta is a leader in extending the life of IT equipment. If you buy from Alta, you're guaranteed top quality, great performance, and tested refurbished parts. The company's reputation doesn't just come from the products they offer, but also from the integrity every team member embodies. Alta's overarching core value is do the right thing, and everyone on the team holds each other accountable. That's what attracted Corey Donovan to join Alta in 2022 as president. He fell in love with the industry's commitment to reuse over 20 years ago, and now is driving Alta's global growth. In fact, the company will celebrate the completion of a 20,000 square foot facility expansion this October. On this episode of TradeIQ, Corey and I discuss how resale is paramount to who Alta Technologies is, specifically detailing that to be one of the larger players in the industry doesn't mean you need hundreds of employees. Rather, if you do what you say you're going to do and provide excellent service, you'll always have a prominent place in the market, or as Corey likes to call it, the green market. Well, good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Renee.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. This is so fun.
What an honor to get to come down here through the beautiful Zumbro Valley to visit in person to Rochester, Minnesota, home of great companies like the IBM campus that's here, of course, the esteemed Mayo Clinic, and one of the most important companies in our industry, BrokerBin and the Broker Exchange.
Yes. We do not get enough guests down here, so this is so much fun. I really appreciate you taking the time and making the trip and setting up the studio, and this is great. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it's a fun collaboration, and I think it's just best to do these things in person whenever we can.
Yes.
I think a lot of things in our industry are great in person, so we'll talk more about that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100% agreed.
But one thing I love is you depart the Twin Cities, and you just get to the southern part of the cities, and it says, stay on this road now for 70 miles. Highway 52, right?
Yeah.
And up in the circular cities, as I call it, where a lot of us circular economies exist.
Yeah.
And it's a great hub. But Rochester down here, you guys are just down the road and providing the service to all of us.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
How was 52 today?
It was straightforward. No real issues. The only delay was the Caribou Coffee sign that drew me in, and I had to, fuel up for the day. Really nice morning drive here in August.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. It is a beautiful drive. It is a beautiful drive. And quick. In fact, we were just talking about that we both went to the University of Minnesota at the same time. In a couple of weeks, I'm moving my sons up there to start school there at the U. And so I'm super excited that they're going to be that close, and that's going to be just that quick of a drive.
That's perfect, too.
Easy.
My son looked at a bunch of schools. My oldest, he graduated from the U as well.
Okay. Oh, you did?
Mechanical engineering.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and he's doing great. He's working as an engineer now and doing awesome. But he's also a music kid, so he wanted a marching band school.
Oh.
So we toured Ohio State and Notre Dame, and those would be great opportunities. I was like, come on, buddy. I hope you choose Minnesota so we can be close. And
exactly.
It was such a good experience for him, just like for me as well.
Yes. Yeah, me too. I loved it there. So I'm really excited for him. So he's living in Dinikin. not the dorms.
No way. I lived in Dinnikin my second year.
Okay.
And I started in Territorial Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a great experience. There are some floor leaders.
Okay.
So that helps them acclimate, I think, to the U.
Okay.
A great location.
Yeah,
You're right there in Stadium
location,
Village.
Right there.
So
and it's so different from when we went, because now the train is right in front, like right down Washington, and we didn't have that.
Yeah, so they can get all over the city as that keeps expanding.
And they have a football stadium right near. We didn't have that.
Everything is at another level. These kids, they don't know how good they have it right now.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I know, good for them.
Right.
But it's fun to visit and look forward. I'm going to the first football game at the end of this month. And still cheer for the Gophers, no doubt.
Go Gophers.
Right.
Go Gophers for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's kind of jump in here, Corey, and tell me a little bit about Alta. Tell me about your company.
Absolutely. Look, I think this is pretty easy. Many, I would imagine, viewers are in the BrokerBin network, and they know Alta. Yeah. We've been around for almost 30 years, since 1995. Of course, we're in servers, networking, and data storage primarily in enterprise IT. We've been a circular economy refurbish company. We've pursued the path of decommissioning and offering those services lately. So we're an R2 certified company.
That's great.
R2 v3, ISO 9001, and the ISOs, right, that go as part of that. Yeah. But really focused on reuse, and that's how we differentiate that from the recyclers necessarily.
Yeah.
Is over 90% of what we're bringing in is going to be gone out to be repaired, reconfigured for the next user.
That's great.
And while R2 really does push reuse first to everyone, I think we really embody that. But even more than reuse first, if I were to describe Alta, we're resale first. So that means that we're very focused on resellers.
Yes.
And I think what continues to surprise me at Alta is our percentage of blind drop ships for our clients.
Okay.
Year over year now, we've been over 53% of our shipments are actually blind drop shipments with a blind packing list, meaning they're going to our client's client on their behalf.
Right.
So we're a wholesale distributor. We have deep pockets to bring in inventory. And the biggest thing is we have, it's all about the people. So we have great engineers and our product managers, our salespeople. At least half of them were technicians at one point.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Super helpful to the clients, obviously.
That's right. So when it comes to, service and knowing, just sometimes troubleshooting before it needs to get to an engineer, they trust us. And when I think about that drop shipment number, it just says a lot to me. It says that they trust us. They trust our quality to deliver to their clients. They trust us to get it out today.
Yeah.
And integrity is a big part of that we're going to respect, not obviously call on their people, because we're focused on resellers first.
Right.
So they send us exactly who they've sold it to, and we ship it to them. And then that support that both our salespeople and the engineers can take care of their clients, and through them to help, make it easy for them to handle any issues that come up, or if needed a return that we would have to help them process and troubleshoot. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I would suspect that those kinds of partnerships are the ideal. Meaning the drop shipping partnerships where you're able to send directly to your clients, that's really what you're going for.
It makes it so simple. It means we all can win.
Yeah.
If we have that trust between one another, our great people and their great, representatives too, to facilitate for that client and not have multiple steps.
Exactly.
They just can run it right through us.
Yes.
So it is generally the easiest way for us. And so we really lean into who we are.
Yeah.
We could do a bunch of different things, but in the end, we're resale first.
Yeah. We're really focused and obviously reliable for your clients, which is huge. Yeah.
For me personally, I started in this industry not at Alta, in the year 2000. And what's really neat for me is that my very first deal in this industry, I sold equipment to a railroad. And I wanted to get it right. You put in the calls and you reach out and you get in touch with somebody and you get that first sale and you want to be able to sell to them again and again and again. I had multiple people tell me, you could trust Alta, that it was an HP part. And in this industry, those part numbers get stuck in your brain. So I still remember what the PO looked like. Okay. And the part was a couple of A37, 37As, which the old HP heads know is ancient at this point. But so I was told, like, Alta's a great company to help support these deals, and you can trust them. They know what they're doing. They'll take care of you, help you configure what you need, and they did all of that. And John Selleck was the person who sold it to me back then, who was the HP product manager. Started as a technician, and that was the year 2000. And still today, I get to work with them, and it's such a cool experience that now I'm
amazing.
Where the company that I trusted long ago, and so a big part of my role is to continue to shepherd that brand and reputation, make sure that we take care of our great people so that we can continue to, help and support the industry.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. So how did you get into this business?
Years ago, I was in college, and we were just talking about how we both thought we were going to end up in law. And but the tech boom was happening. It was the .com era before the .bomb era, and it was just exciting. And I had a friend whose brother was working in this industry and about to start his own company. And I had been doing some sales in the summer and had sold a set of cutlery. I was Cutco Cutlery, which is a terrible name. And I'm not sure about their hiring practices and so on, but actually really good cutlery for what it's worth.
I was going to say, I kind of want some Cutco.
I guess so. But I ended up selling a full set to the brother who had been in the industry. And when they started their own company, they asked if I was available for sales. I'm like, I want to check out this tech industry.
Great story.
So I got pulled in that way about, the opportunity and the excitement around the buzz. But what keeps me in it, what really fell in love with is the reuse aspect, feeling like we're the good guys, that we save the day for our clients. And save them money too, but we're keeping good stuff working. And I love that about what we do. So I'm, every day keep at it and trying to grow our whole industry.
Yeah, it's making such a global difference as well, obviously.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and I've
so
done
funny.
Just about everything in this business.
So you obviously sold those knives very well.
For a short time. But I just something sparked like maybe this kid can sell.
That's a great story. I love it.
I love working with people, and it's just it's fun to go sit in someone's kitchen and talk to them and learn about them. And the knives were just a proxy to talk about it, I guess.
That's great. I love it. So switching gears a little bit, what industry trends are you watching right now, Corey?
Sure. I think one of the biggest trends is the circularity movement. It's starting to sound like a cliche, but I think it's very important that we still embrace it. And there's a lot of work to do. I'm looking to see, as bigger companies are embracing their emissions and their emissions goals that they have, say we want to be carbon neutral by 2030 or 2040, they're facing some big challenges with that and the way that it's reported. And so I'm super curious about the way that emissions are going to be reported. And the big change happening right now is going from just measuring what they call scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. And bear with me, it's kind of a nerdy term, but scope 3 emissions is where you go to measuring upstream and downstream emissions. So where you're sourcing your equipment, how much energy use went into the manufacture of that equipment. And then I think what's really important is that these scope 3 emissions also measure downstream in how much energy use goes into the recycling versus reuse. And what you're seeing as a byproduct is Google and Amazon and Facebook are making these big announcements lately that they're going from lifespans of their data center hardware from 3 to 5 years to trying to get 5 to 10 years of use out of it. So I've been really following that trend closely because I think it's going to drive big opportunities for our business.
That's great.
I've talked to people from IDC who believe the same, and that's why you're seeing a lot of investment in our space right now. Some of these private equity groups are trying to bundle up, sometimes resellers, but a lot of recyclers and service providers in our industry into giant providers because they know there's a hyperscale opportunity, at least with the biggest companies.
Sure.
So obviously, if Google's going to try to run a system 5 to 10 years, that's going to take a lot of parts to maintain those systems.
Absolutely.
So you're starting to see like Amazon and Microsoft set up what they call circular centers or reverse logistics hubs. These are like their own Alta. These guys have so much data center equipment that they're building their own Alta, 50,000 square foot facilities, 100,000 square foot facilities where they bring in equipment from all their locations and then have people that repair, refurbish, reconfigure it, just like we do, but to redeploy it into their environments. And I think I applaud them for that. But that's going to spill over to us. Sure. There's going to be, just like all of us, occasionally we need parts from one another and rely on the BrokerBins of the world for that. And I'd love to see Google and Meta and Amazon and so on get onto these platforms, of course. I think you guys would enjoy that.
So would we.
But I do believe there's going to be a time where that happens. Because they're going to need extra parts and they're going to have overflow where they say we have this excess. And so following the credits is important. Always follow the money, right? Like where can they get these offset credits for their goals? Because the shareholder reporting it really matters to these big companies. And I think I'm going to watch to see if that has a waterfall effect down to mid-sized companies too, where they may, what we're seeing right now is the IT guy really doesn't care that much about the sustainability aspects from a credit standpoint. It's just not happening yet. Sure. They're not measuring that themselves, but it's a feel-good thing still, where they can say, actually we decommissioned our equipment, not for recycling, which recycling's great, but there's a higher energy use for that. We brought it to a company that's going to put it into reuse, and I feel good about that. And I got a warm, fuzzy from my sustainability manager who I mentioned. We're now doing this process of decommissioning for reuse, or I'm buying parts to extend life. And then what they find out when they do that is they save a ton of money. And that's what like the Googles of the world are like, wow, we're saving hundreds of millions of dollars by extending life rather than just throwing the stuff away and refreshing. But we're always fighting, the OEMs don't want that to happen, at least certain sides of them, right?
Of course.
But let's see where the credit stuff goes. And I believe, I wouldn't be surprised if in time the SEC requires public companies to report upstream and downstream. And then do they require the downstream usage to differentiate between recycling and reuse? And I'm certainly going to be advocating for that.
Yeah, that's great. There's some of this happening in Europe.
Right? Yeah, they're always ahead of us on this as well.
Yeah, we're hearing some of that happening over there. So you kind of mentioned this, but that's really what you see as being a big opportunity for your business, obviously, is just following these trends and being there when this kind of comes full circle. And these companies are looking for partners to be able to fulfill even their own in-house.
They are, sure. And we know we're just excited about being a part of that wave.
Yep, exactly.
When we start to think of our impact, again, resale first, the more that we can up our game, we have a great team, always looking to improve, right? And offer a bevy of services and more product that as we can facilitate the resellers who maybe are working with a Microsoft or a Meta or tons of mid-sized companies, as their demands grow because they're trying to extend life and be more sustainable, that's a tide that rises all boats, right? And so we're going to support that through our partners.
That's
for
great.
Sure.
That's great. And so how would you describe, Corey, the market conditions of the past few years? And
I think we've all felt it.
What's your outlook? It's good.
Let's start with the outlook.
Okay.
No, I'm really excited right now. And it's a hard place to be excited for a lot of companies. They're not seeing it yet. And I think some companies are still really struggling. So what are it was an artificial 3 years is what we had. We really saw how supply chain is its own giant economic effect on the reuse industry. To the upside, big time. The pandemic, we had the equipment in stock, and a company like Alta, where we try to keep at least 2 of everything, if not 200 of everything, we benefited greatly from that, where companies were looking for equipment, and through our resellers, we were able to provide that, and really grow our business across a couple of years. And I think our whole industry experienced that 18 to 24 month effect. We had to realize it was pretty artificial. I hope that, and I believe that many of us are going to continue to have benefits from that over the years. Because if if these companies went and found out about good used equipment from great service providers and solution providers, that it just works. This is equipment that sat in a climate controlled environment just like theirs. It was decommissioned with a white glove service, thoroughly tested, inspected, and delivered at a level perhaps even above what they're used to for new, that those folks are going to keep ordering. And as the market comes back here, we're going to see a really nice lift from that in addition to the sustainability initiatives of a lot of companies.
Yeah.
So I'm super bullish on where we're going from here, but
great.
we had to get through the cliff.
Yeah.
And the cliff was about, 18 months ago, and everybody felt it, and almost like, gosh, it happened just like that, right? Everything slowed down because, bam, the supply chain was back.
Yeah.
You would go to CDW, and that switch was back in stock.
Yeah.
We had an example of a switch we were selling for, just that was the market was about $1,800 that had previously been a $200 switch before the pandemic.
Wow.
And then overnight, CDW has it back in stock. It's a list price of $1,000. It goes down to $600, on the web. And that's fine as long as, that's great for consumers, right? That's just the natural market adjusting.
Yep.
But we have to adapt to that.
Yeah.
And in Minnesota, we have a saying that there's no bad weather. There's just not enough layers, right?
Right.
And that's tough to say, I think, for some companies that maybe didn't have enough layers. We were fortunate that we did, and I'm really proud of our team. We have an amazing team, and they did everything they could to replenish with the right inventory, to just take the lumps and move equipment, rather than sit on it and have it go to zero.
Right.
We sold it at market rates and we moved it. And that was all about them.
Yeah.
They stepped up and they took, hits left and right to be in a really healthy place where we're at right now. And I fear that some companies are still struggling through that bad inventory.
I believe
we're hearing
that to be
it,
the
right?
case for sure.
So,
So
we're trying to support them as much as we can.
Yep.
But yeah, you had to move quickly with that quick change.
Yep.
And it was a tough period, but now things have been stabilized, and even some uptrends in memory and hard drives and stuff over the last 6 months. So you need to start investing. We're investing in people, marketing different aspects to really grow. Our inventory is, from drawing it down to replenish. We're replenishing big time and getting back up to our old levels. Yeah. So we're investing ahead of the growth right now, I believe. But it's stable at least, and it's better to kick off a stable market and grow the best way you can and support your partners than to not know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Exactly.
And if the market turns down a little bit, hopefully we're back to our old market where times were great and there was more money in the system. And that means that times can be good for the reuse market. And when times are bad, you have that buoyancy of being able to stay above water because people want to save money. So they might not have the same budget that they used to, but that budget is going more towards life extension, reuse, use servers, use switches. And so that's what I see coming in the year ahead. And we'll see what happens. I may be wrong, but we're investing based on that outlook.
Yeah, that's great. We feel very, very optimistic for our members. And I feel like internally, I keep saying, right now it's somewhat about weathering a storm without letting water in, right? We're not like a sinking ship. We don't want water coming on, but we got to kind of weather through and
and stabilize your positions and finances and make sure you have the right people, the right equipment in place.
Exactly.
To
you
prosper.
mentioned a couple of minutes ago the service that your clients are probably getting better service from you than they are even from their OEMs from buying new. I'm sure that's the case. And that's a great example of how we can better serve, or how companies like Alta can better serve the industry by providing that level of service. I mean, oftentimes you order new and that's just it, right?
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Just delivers. And surprisingly, the most common point of failure in equipment is the first 30 days.
Yeah.
Day one, really.
Yeah.
That's what's called the burn-in. And our industry has the benefit of having equipment that's already burned in, as long as you can be the filter, like companies like ours and others in our industry who bring it in and test it and say, great, this is at a great burn-in in the field. It's still working. Yeah. Let's configure it to the next user and give it another 10 years if we can.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's excellent. You can provide that. So this is a fun question. How much do you think about competition?
Well, it's an interesting question because I do and I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I do a lot because they're our partners.
Right.
We're co-opetition here in this industry, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't even say frenemies because it's definitely more friends. It's a lot. I love this industry because it's a lot like athletics that I grew up playing.
Okay.
Football or basketball or whatever, where you compete like crazy on an individual play, on the deal, but you can be friends with your competition afterwards.
Sure.
It's really a camaraderie. And I think a lot of us are drawn to that for that reason, that we're all working together towards a common mission and helping our clients, and especially a company like Alta where we work through resellers to service the clients. But So I'm thinking about how we can better support the competition, maybe what they're doing so that we can meet their needs. But when it comes to looking at what other competitors do, I think you really need to be who you are.
Yeah.
Right. And excel at your goals. It can be a big distraction to just say, wow, XYZ company is now doing all these crazy ads and stuff. Let's do that. You don't really know if it's working for them. They might be experimenting. Right. You have to have your own initiatives. I really like to look at parallel markets. So I'll look at used lab equipment or other parallel markets and maybe look at what they're doing and even chat with those people, because they'll tell you some of the things that are working for them outright. And so having those conversations, maybe with like used solar providers. I haven't done that yet, but that's a great idea, right?
You should.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe you can connect me.
Okay.
But and seeing what's working in those industries, because then we can bring it to what we do, because they're often really similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. And so what do you think is changing in the industry regarding how companies are networking and doing business with one another? You sort of kind of started when you were talking about competition, how it's not quite competition. But so how do you think that's changing and how people are working together? So there's a lot of cooperation even amongst competitors.
Right. Well, the industry is maturing a lot.
Yeah.
You'll see people who now have been at companies for decades, or at least for years. And when I first started in this business, it was every other day someone was leaving a company and jumping.
A lot of turnover.
Just leapfrogging left and right to other companies. And now there's a lot of stability. So you work on those relationships over time, really get to know people at these events, how networking is changing. Of course, there's the digital side where you picked up the phone a lot more, and we really encourage people to get on the phone as much as possible. But some people like Skype or Trillion or what have you. So there's obviously a ton of that. AI, I'm really I'm excited about the prospects, but I'm concerned about what it'll do to us in terms of communication.
Yeah, same.
So my belief, and it's one of the reasons, we have a big team going to the BrokerBin Roadshow, and we can talk more about that in a little bit. Yeah. And I'm going is because I think that face-to-face connection is, people don't even know how important that's going to become. Crucial. It's always been important. But we, as humans, have done enough, as salespeople and companies, done enough to pollute the channels of communication. Of course, email, people barely check email anymore because it's all spam.
Right.
IT people especially don't pick up their phones. Now, resellers still will for numbers you recognize. Yeah. But if you're trying to call on new people, it's a challenge. Yeah. And you know what's coming next? I don't know if you've checked out services like air.ai. But if you go and you look at a Tesla, afterwards you'll get a follow-up call from what sounds like a person, but it's an AI chat that you don't even know is AI. And they're responding to your questions just like a human would. There's a slight delay right now, but probably within months that delay becomes just completely imperceptible. So now
that makes me sad.
Cold calls will be completely AI. And I know some people out there listening to this and think, oh, that's exciting, I'm going to try that out. And I certainly encourage you to do it. But how long does that last? 6 months, a year, 2 years? Right. And then nobody ever answers their phone again. So how do you talk to people? Right. And we can publish things on social, but great ways to have those conversations is to get in person.
Exactly.
Go to events. Go meet your clients. We're going to have to really get creative in the ways that we connect. Right. And one of the biggest moves I see happening in the years ahead is connecting at events and in person.
That's great. That makes me very excited to hear you say that, obviously.
I like it. We'll see. We'll see like everything what happens. But I just see this pollution happening where, we've experimented with the AI email prospecting and so on. And it's really powerful.
Yeah, it really is. It is a pollution. It's just, there's so much noise. It's so hard to just really connect. Right. I mean, and even when there's legitimate, it's not all for marketing and sales and whatever, but it's like, no, we really need to have this conversation so we can better our businesses together or grow together or evolve. And it's just so hard to have those conversations to even make the initial connection, because there's just so much,
for sure,
so much going on, so many ways to connect, supposedly. But, I am and all this stuff, but none of it really is connecting.
It's not true, pure connection. Right. And how do you even start that connection if no one trusts a new call or a new outreach coming at you, right? So sometimes you have to have those collisions. And it'll be interesting. I love when people come to visit Alta every time that someone comes to visit and see that, we actually have 2 of everything, like we say, if not more, they meet our engineers and see like how much they can handle. Some of these guys are getting out 100 servers in a day. They're experts at what they do. Every time someone visits, our volume of business goes up because they know we're really doing it. And that's proof of human, proof of inventory. They come, they see it, and they're like, wow, this is, you never know sometimes.
Right, because so much can be just internet.
Yeah. Things like RTI help with that, of course, right?
Yes, RTI is a big help.
For sure. But so we're trying to do more with video. And that's something I think we'll keep doing like we're doing here, right? That's how we have this connection, is we're filming things inside of a warehouse so we can, it's hard for people to come and visit. I think they should come visit Minnesota because they can visit us and like 30 other companies.
Yes.
But in the circular cities, but come up and visit us. If not, we're going to keep putting stuff online so people can see what we have and who our people are.
Yeah. Well, now that you've been down here, we'll come up. It's not the same, I know, but still, we'll come up and say hi.
We would be so glad to host you guys.
Okay, so what's the industry doing right with respect to reuse and recycling, and what still needs to happen to help achieve that circularity we've been talking about?
Well, that's a good way to put it. Achieve the circularity, because I think that is kind of where the rub is we're really making great strides on the decommissioning side. I love to see that R2V3 for the last several years has been promoting reuse and bringing on a lot of reuse companies. Companies like Alta are leveling up to become R2V3 and other partners of ours. So on the decommissioning side, yes, we're bringing in more and we're focusing on getting it to reuse. And some of these recyclers who sell to us are seeing the value that they get monetarily, as well as credit to R2 from reuse. And that's great. That's the part that's going well. But circularity means a circle. There's 2 sides to that. We're bringing in a lot of equipment, and certainly there's a lot of demand, billions of dollars, and it's a big pie. But that pie for IT equipment is so huge that we need to make sure that we continue, that there is continued support and trying to get the OEMs or limit the OEMs from tamping down the used market. Yes. And initiatives like Right to Repair are great momentum, but there's so much more to do when it comes to allowing for reuse to flow. I was just thinking about summer vacation. It's summer right now. Yeah. So you've got your bag of M&Ms, right? Yeah. Or your bag of peanut M&Ms. And on the bottom, there's always one that gets to be like a clump of like 5 peanut M&Ms. That's like just this big ooey glob at the bottom. And that's really more what our industry is like than a circle. Because we get these little successes and one side is maybe circular, but the other side is all lumpy and not ideal. Yeah, and you just throw that one away, right? But no, we need to make it, we need to complete that circle and have the opportunity to sell these goods and make sure that we continue to support these initiatives. And I believe we will see that grow when it comes to companies extending life. But the OEMs continue to try to limit firmware availability, to threaten fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the field when it comes to supporting used equipment, to add subscriptions to hardware so it makes it impossible for you to use used equipment without really heavy fees to bring that on board. And I would love to see there to be some sort of regulation as well. But I think the OEMs are misguided here too. The ones that get it, the IBMs and the Dells, which are a little bit more lenient on this world, they know that install base is the most important thing in their markets. Right. So when the Ciscos of the world are trying to push out any used equipment at, what are they losing? 0.5% of market share? They might be losing tens of percentages of market share and allowing the Junipers and the HPs and the Aristas in because all they care about is keeping used equipment out. Yeah. And their clients want choice and they want flexibility. And is really like, a few GBICs, used authentic GBICs going into a switch really going to matter to Cisco? It doesn't, but they'll like fight and claw to keep it out. And it's, again, short-sighted, and we need to have that mentality change. Yeah,
it's honestly one of the things that I've thought so much about over the years is what, with Cisco specifically, or any of the other OEMs, because we feel pressure at BrokerBin from them, and you just think, but how are you not seeing a bigger picture? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. I just don't get it.
And then you see them.
So maybe you should just call them. And tell
I'll just
them
call everyone. Because they tout their sustainability claims on one end, and they're doing reuse things within, but they don't have the incentive. They're incentivized naturally to sell more new equipment. They get higher margins.
Right.
And so these sustainability initiatives are usually token initiatives, short-sighted. There might be people passionate within those divisions, excited about it, but their opportunities are limited because really the big engine of those companies is to sell new equipment and services. And I don't know how we change the mentality a ton, but just continue to talk to people. And I think end users are a big part of it.
Yeah.
There are great end users who have a really firm backbone, and they'll say, Cisco, if you want, let me add $800 worth of some accessories to my switches. I'm just going to go to Juniper next time.
Yeah.
And then they just let it through.
Yeah.
And if they keep hearing that, and now that Cisco and some of these companies have a lot of competition, they have competition not just from other OEMs, but white box equipment too. Right. I think they're going to have to adapt. And so users sharing information among one another and our resellers that we work with, I hope they continue to educate their end users and train them that they can push back on the manufacturers. And that's really the path, I think, to getting more acceptance of the secondary market.
Which is absolutely another reason for resellers and companies like yourselves to stay in communication and not be always thinking like, oh, this is my competitor, I'm going to not share any information. Or because at some point everybody has to come together, even if you ultimately want some of the same business, it's still better for everyone to come together at this point and kind of fight that fight together or advocate together for the industry.
We're all about that.
Exactly.
We're trying to work with them to help them find a way. And we don't have that many secrets, Renee. It's like we do what we do. We're sort of like the team that's a heavy running team, and you can come and look at all of our plays. And again, we invite people into our office all the time.
That's great.
And help with best practices and so on. But you need the people and the systems and the culture to execute it. And we've just got a great, awesome team.
Yeah, for sure. And so my next question is, what motivates you to keep doing what you're doing? And maybe you just answered it. Your team.
The team is a huge part of it, and I had stepped out of the industry for a few years, was really doing lifestyle business. I was a solopreneur, and I missed working with great people so much. I had remote employees, I had some virtual employees, but it's not the same. No. And we have a great in-person office, a great just culture in the office every day, and awesome people to work with. So I do love that. But you can work in a lot of industries, you can make money doing things, but you have to feel good about what you're doing. And I sort of fell into this industry, the cutlery and what have you. But I did, fall in love with it. And I feel like we're the good guys. We are helping people, get what they need at a huge savings on time. We saw that big time in the pandemic where we had it in stock. And I believe in the sustainability initiatives of what we're doing too. Why throw out good equipment when we can keep it going for another 5-10 years? So I love what I do, and I love being a part of trying to spread this across the world really, and support all these great partners we have.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. You're such a great example. And so, has there ever been a time when you've questioned being in the industry?
Well, it's a good question. If we've all done all kinds of jobs. I think a lot of us, because there aren't 5,000 person businesses in this industry just in general. Right. Bigger companies have 50 to 100 people. So you end up doing a little bit of everything. And so if you've been in those moments where you're trying to scrape stickers off a switch to make it look perfect before it goes out, and some of the hard work is hard work, but then it's essential. And some of those moments you're like, I could be doing something else. What am I doing on a Saturday morning, getting these ready for a shipment on Monday, or and so on. But and then the other times are where we've had big changes. And I think having gone through those moments helps when we've gone through, say, the last 18 months, is I wasn't afraid, and I knew it was a bump in the road to go through a cliff, a supply chain rebound, because I went through the virtualization period where everybody freaked out and thought, oh no, this is the end of our industry. Right. 20 servers are going to go to one. And in some cases they did, but there was a slow march. There just always has been of growth in the data center. There continue to be more and more demands on data and compute and storage. And our industry just chugs along. And even if things consolidate, whether it's virtualization or cloud, you see our industry continue to thrive. And I believe that more and more people every year are discovering reuse. And so the combination of the constant growth and demand for IT equipment and the open-mindedness of reuse, continue to be excited, and that keeps you through, what are challenging times, just to know that we keep making good decisions, and there's going to be a market for us. And this is just such a giant opportunity that, you don't have to be concerned about what we're doing, and I believe in what we're doing. Right.
And no matter what you do, right? There's going to be a challenge.
That's right.
Whatever industry you're in.
Yeah, and you asked like big opportunities and stuff for us. It's not a lot of change. We are who we are. We might make slight pivots to that, try new things, whether it's doing more decommissioning, adding a new product line that we hadn't focused on before. But generally, we're going to keep being a resale first reuse company. And if we can add on extra services to that, I know we're going to find opportunity.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what is the most common myth you would like to take this opportunity to debunk about the industry?
So when you think about the reuse industry, the myth that the fear, just the continued fear, uncertainty, and doubt about the secondary market, I'm just going to bring up the term and kind of pivot into this, is that the gray market term continues just to bother me. I've come to calling it the gray slur. I think it's important for people to know that it's a term that's been co-opted by the OEMs intentionally to align us with, say, a black market.
Right.
Where gray market doesn't mean used equipment. Right. It just doesn't. It means new equipment that was sold into another parallel market, let's say Taiwan or Thailand, which was the case of the Wiley book situation. A guy selling, Wiley was selling textbooks into Thailand, and a gentleman was importing them and selling to college students at a discount. Great.
Yeah.
They were selling them at half price there. Let someone come in and give college students 20, 30% off and make a little money. That's gray market, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that completely. It's still authentic equipment. Of course, you have to be careful about not getting stuff that you don't want to get in, but that's not what we do.
Right.
We're used. We get some new in-box stuff that's trade-ins or whatever, but that's the gray market. Something new sold into another market, and then you import it to a different market, but it's still the same stuff.
Right.
And that was a problem in like the days of Marco Polo because people didn't speak other languages, and if it came with instructions on a tablet or whatever, stone tablet, you wouldn't be able to read those. So there were concerns about safety, things made for other markets and brought into Europe and whatnot. So there's these old European laws on the books about gray market trade being restricted, and but that's not what we do. We sell used, good, tested, quality, authentic equipment, and that's the green market.
Yeah.
I've called it the green market for years. So we need to get away from, I think, as an industry, ever using the term gray market. Of course, you acknowledge it when people say, "Hey, you guys are gray market dealers." Like, we're used equipment dealers. We think it's the green market, but I know that's what the OEMs call it. They're trying to like sully our market a little bit, but I don't know. I think it's actually abhorrent that they use this term because it's propaganda. Yeah. It's really, really bad. And we need to make sure that we're using terms like secondary market, used market, circular economy, the green market.
Yeah, the green market. I love that. I wrote that down.
Awesome.
I love that. And back to the myth, I think, and like what you were saying about some of the fear, I think, and many other guests on TradeIQ have said the same thing, is that there's just something that people think, it's not going to be as good of a piece of equipment. But again, in reality, like you referred to earlier, some of this equipment is better than. It's been tested, and it's been refurbished, and it's been, all the things, and it comes with service, and in many, many cases, this is a better option. Yeah. Not just to save money.
Right. We don't even have to go there, especially on the data center side.
Yeah.
This is equipment built to last.
Yeah.
The OEMs tout how resilient their hardware is.
Yeah.
In some cases, they have studies that they've run by, running them through incredible cycles that show it should last for 20 or more years.
Yeah.
Yet they're saying, well, you better get that out of your data center. It's been in there for 4 years now. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
And so I get it. I think people have had bad experiences, and that's how, we start some conversations when we encounter people, or we encourage our resellers to do so, is like, what was your first, did you buy from a random person on eBay who just happened to be, an auto parts dealer that got in some Cisco switches somehow and put them on their eBay store? And of course they didn't know how to test them, clear them, make sure the data was off of them, support you if things weren't working right. That's a bad experience. And I think a number of people, unfortunately, have had those bad experiences. So they need to work with the great resellers of our industry who have, our members of BrokerBin, ASCDI, UNITA, the SIA, like Alta is, like many of our partners are, that are going to support you, that have tested it, that have worked with a partner like us who has done that for them, and then keep pushing these great experiences. And again, I'm hopeful that during the pandemic, many people found really good partners like those of us out there, but Some have had bad experiences. I don't really hold it against them that they fall for the fear, uncertainty, and doubt because they found bad partners.
Right.
But they can't close it. We really want to make sure they don't close it off and that they talk to people and get educated.
Yeah. Continue to educate. And that's the thing we say around here all the time.
Awesome.
We've got to keep educating people. Okay. So what are you curious about that has nothing to do with your job?
Oh.
Besides podcasting equipment or sound equipment.
Oh, that was, yeah. Well, that's the thing is I think people who know me know I'm curious about a lot of different things. Sure. I have to try to stay focused more than anything because I can fall for the shiny object at times. But no, I'm curious about how an 80-year-old can beat me in pickleball these days.
Oh my, is that happening?
Well, you go and you play at Lifetime, and and I've fallen down the pickleball rabbit hole this year for the last 6 months or so, and I love it, and I've hooked. But you'll go and you'll play and you'll be matched up a couple against septuagenarians and they just kick your butt. Like they know exactly where to stand, how to hit it. And so I'm trying to level up on that every day.
That's hilarious.
I love spending time with my family and just doing excursions around town and going kayaking and paddling and
so fun.
Just going up north.
The circular cities are a beautiful place to do that.
Yeah, all our lakes and everything too are great. And then during the pandemic, I really got into trading cards again. I had done that when I was younger. And that's a great place to be curious because there's so many different paths you can go down. I really got into like vintage. I love basketball. And so watching our Wolves were great this year, but collecting rare and older vintage basketball cards. And then it sends you down other avenues. I brought a couple. Actually.
Fun.
So this is one of my favorites. It's a 48 George Mikan, which is from the first ever basketball set, but Mikan played for the Minneapolis Lakers. So we have that heritage here. And there's, like to have something like this.
Gosh, my son would love that.
Is to be, part of a special club because there's only 600 in the world in any grade.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's not, not the craziest. There's certainly cards that there's only like 10 of or one of and whatever, but to have something this old and everything is
cool.
Thought it was one I chased for a while and finally found a good copy. But it's nothing compared to like the best one in the world is a PSA 10 that's in the Smithsonian. That's a 10 of 10 grade. And for years it had been the top selling sports card in the world.
My gosh.
But now the Smithsonian probably has it locked up forever. So that, and then I end up down rabbit holes and I thought this was fun with the Olympics going on right now. And there's special correspondent, Snoop Dogg.
Oh, I know.
So even like
I love Snoop Dogg.
Pop culture people have trading cards too. And I love like trying to find out what the first one is. This is a 1995 Snoop Dogg rookie.
I love that.
Just
that
for
is so
fun,
cool.
and to find these with my kids and stuff, and like say I have the John Cena rookie or the Snoop Dogg rookie, but also a lot of old vintage trading cards for sports too.
That is great. That's so fun. I saw a little meme the other day that said Snoop Dogg was the country's mascot we didn't know we needed. Yeah. I was like, that's so true.
This Olympics has just been a great distraction in general.
Yes,
really
so
great
fun.
With all the broadcasters and some great USA performances too.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Back up 1 second. You play pickleball at Lifetime. What club? What Lifetime club?
I live pretty close to the St. Louis Park one, and then I go down to Southdale sometimes. But the thing I love about pickleball is I grew up playing pickup basketball. So you pickup, you can just go to the gym and get in line, and you just jump into a team and meet new people and play with new people. It's the same thing with pickleball. Is you can either join a league, but you can also just go to a club or an outdoor place and put your paddle in, and then you're just up next, and you get randomly paired, and it's a fun experience.
I love that Lifetime is doing that. That's actually where I started my career.
Oh, really?
Yes. Lifetime Fitness for many, many years. Yep. In fact, when we moved down to Rochester, I drove from here until I started working at BrokerBin. I drove from Rochester to Eden Prairie, which is where the headquarters were. Yeah.
Crosstown Club right there?
Well, we were in a different corporate office building. Yeah. So now I think their corporate offices are, where did they move to? But anyway, blast from best. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of get back into your work at Alta.
Okay.
What are the core values that you strive to infuse throughout your company's culture?
Well, we literally have core values on the wall, and they can be totally meaningless. A lot of companies just put core values on the wall, but we really were careful about how we set those, right? It was about who we've been for, at that point, 25 years when we distilled those down to make sure that lived on beyond those people and that culture that we'd built that had made Alta successful over the years. But they're really important. We hire on them. We review people on them. Our people embody them every day. So it really is crucial to who we are. But you think it's really about the people, right? Like you look at your best people and what do they exhibit? How do they service our clients?
Yeah.
But like an important core value, and I see it here too at BrokerBin is, and I think we've talked about through this interview, is that we're real, authentic, and caring. I see it as like authentic service. The people know what we're saying is true. We're using things like RTI to show we really have the inventory that we're listing. We're just super straightforward with each other, but also with our partners, because it's just the best way. You see companies trying to like use smoke and mirrors in this industry, or it was more of an issue in the years past. But the best move is just to let people know what you're doing and to really care for your customers and one another and have that environment. So I think that one's really important. But the number one core value on our list is do the right thing.
Do the right thing. I love it.
It has to be in what we do. I mean, we've talked about the FUD. We're up against doubters. We're up against wrong assumptions. So it's so crucial that all of our people know that first and forthright, that we need to make sure that everything we do is authentic, the equipment's authentic, we're doing what we say we're going to do. If we say we're going to ship it, we do. And so that's another one, make ship happen. We ship.
That's cute.
That's a fun one, right? Make ship happen. And again, these can sound stupid even as I'm saying them, right?
No, that's so cute. I love it.
But we really when we talk about, boy, we have 200 orders to get out today, someone will say, hey, make ship happen,
I love it.
And other people, another one we have is one team. And that's something people say too, is if someone from the front a couple people from the front have to go and help pack and back. It's like, one team, we're a one team culture. And I see that really not just being part of Alta, but meaning all of our partners and resellers too. We're all in this together in this industry. So one team is really important as well.
That's great.
But we have a fun thing that we just started this year, which we call the Alta Way.
Okay.
So we have, this is came out of something I learned about that the Ritz-Carlton does.
Oh, wow.
So they have 20 core principles. And so every day at every resort, in every country in the world, every property has the same principle that they say at their shift meetings every day. And so they say that's why their service is considered the top in the world, because they say what they're all about and they go through all 20 principles over 20 days and then they just repeat it again. And we talk about 30 principles once a week over 30 weeks. And we've just reached our first run of 30.
Oh, great.
So
this is incredible.
Yeah. And so the last one is keep things fun. Yeah. And it's important to remember, if we do all the right things, it's going to be fun, but we work together so much that it's important that we keep things fun.
That is so great. Can you keep this?
Yeah, you can keep a copy for sure. We love giving clients, but that's who we're about. And that's like, we think of those as like the verbs and the ways that we can teach people and just have conversations every week about what our core values really mean and how we exhibit them. So again, the stuff is kind of like corporate-y or whatever, but we make sure it doesn't stay that way. We just have fun with it. We even make fun of our values at times. So
that's cute. Remind me, I should have asked this earlier, but how many people total?
55 people
55
at
people.
Alta.
Okay.
One of my favorite things about the industry is that you don't, to be one of the larger players in the industry, you don't have to be hundreds of people. So you maintain that small family feel too. And it's one of the things that makes this industry really great. Yeah.
That's great. I love it. Okay, Corey, so tell me, what is your creme de la creme that makes your company sustainable and resistant to big challenges?
La creme de la creme.
La creme de la creme.
I got it. Haven't thought of it that way before. But so really, it's all about the people. I think a lot of names that the members of BrokerBin know at Alta, they work with them as resellers, are folks like Vadim and John and Mike and Joe, Chris, these great people. And they know that these guys do what they say. They have expertise. They're real, authentic people, like we talked about that. We really care about that with our front-facing people, is that they are who they are. Bring you and your special strengths. And if they've met Vadim, they know that's absolutely true. A legend of the Dell market. And a lot of our guys, they really are all of our people. They're real, authentic people, and I love that. But some of them don't know all the other folks who make it happen, right? Which are the Eugenes and the Pashas and the Annikas and the Olegs and the Kevins. These folks who make it happen behind the scenes. And what's great about this from a leadership standpoint is that we have our values and the things that we care about, but I don't have to often hold people accountable. It's pretty rare. We set our goals and we have our values, but really we have our people. And our people are the ones who are out there saying, like, that's not how we do things if someone steps slightly out of line or considers it. right? And they hold everyone else accountable because they really care. They care about Alta. A lot of these people have been there for over 20 years.
Incredible.
And if they haven't, they've definitely breathed it in from the rest of our longtime people. And so they're holding everyone to a high standard, and they don't want to be mediocre.
Yeah.
They're always leveling up. They're people who love to improve and experiment. Again, we talked about how we have salespeople who were technicians, and some of our technicians who maybe started in the warehouse. And so we've brought people up from within. They're so proud of what they're doing. They're so good at what they do, and they want to see that across our team.
That's great.
So from a management standpoint. Times I feel like I don't have to do a whole lot. They take care of one another.
Yeah, that speaks very highly, though, of your leadership.
And the culture that's been built over the years by the Wennings, and I, again, just try to be a good shepherd of, and give our people, hire great people.
Yes.
Let them be themselves, let them do their thing, give them goals, but ultimately all the resources they need to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think that's all that we need to do to keep succeeding, and whether, anything that we go through, because we just have awesome people, those names that people know and some of the names they don't
know.
Yeah.
Everybody behind the scenes is just as important. It's actually one of the things we say here regularly. We've also have our sales team, but there's so many other people who are supporting the business. And if it wasn't for everyone coming together, like you said, one team,
right?
It's critical.
They care about quality, expertise, delivering today. All those things really matter to all of them. And if we don't live up to it, people are disappointed, and they're going to let other people know on the team about it. From within our team, one of the innovations of Alta, one of the things that we've stepped up to do is to add 24/7 service.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that. That's great, Corey.
A couple of our team members said we would be happy to take calls after hours and to work the weekends and run in and provide parts, and people can come and pick them up with their own courier, or we'll get them out on a Saturday morning. And now we staff Saturdays.
I love it.
We have a rotation, and everybody buys in to say, I'll take a week and cover the phone for that week. You've seen the belt that we have.
I was just going to say the belt. Yeah.
We call it the 24/7 championship belt.
Yeah. That
whoever has 24/7 duty that week, they carry the belt. They also carry the phone.
That's great.
They're going to get the calls at 3 a.m. if a service provider needs to come and pick up a part. And we have it on hand, and that's really enabled our relationships, and I think helped our partners provide that service that they need to their customers. And we love to get those stories about how we just saved the day for somebody. But adding that service deepens the relationships with our providers, and it's what we're all about. If we can find, like I said, study our competition to find more ways to support them. And now there are a few other companies in the industry doing 24/7 service as well.
Sure.
But we started this all on our
That's
own,
great.
and I think we do it really well. And again, the team is just awesome to step up and do that and to come up with the idea.
Yeah. And it just provides, for your team members, it creates that team atmosphere, but it provides them feeling like they're making a difference, and not just punching a clock in and out every day, but really involved and engaged in what's going on, and for them to come up with an idea and for it to be able to be executed up through upper management. That's really cool.
And then it gives some staff the opportunity to do something different too, to be involved maybe on the quoting and the sales side, at least on those evenings and weekends. And we love, we've talked about to promote from within and cultivate talent from within, and
cross-training and
get everybody a lot of different experiences. And it's just cool to see people step up, and you never know who's going to excel at it.
So I love it. That's
we're
fun.
Lucky to have just, awesome people.
That's so fun.
We're always looking for more.
I can't let this opportunity pass without saying that we also have a championship belt in this office, like a wrestling. It's for our fantasy football, and it's in my office. Just saying.
It sits there right now.
Yes, I won last
year. Congratulations.
The guys will be upset with me for not saying that actually my son ran the team, but I get the belt.
How many Packers on the team? I know that's
I think we only had maybe one this year.
You went against the grain. That's why you won. You didn't lean on the grain.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so Alta has been a member of BrokerBin since 2006, which we really appreciate your membership, and I would call you guys a cornerstone member, honestly.
Appreciate that.
And so how does BrokerBin help you achieve your business objectives?
Yeah. Well, we're grateful for BrokerBin.
Grateful for you.
We see it as has really become the rails of the secondary market. To have the ability to have a database to list all of our products and share that. I remember the days when people, honestly, when I started this business and I thought it was ancient, people were still faxing lists back and forth, but even the email, we're like, those of us that were new to the industry said, we thought we jumped into tech and we're still just emailing lists back and forth. There's got to be a database for this, right? And you guys innovated there and came up with a great solution, and then just excel at continuing to add services and capabilities to that. So we see it as a crucial part of our business. We invested. We want to be a top. We want to have availability to all the services that you offer, because resale is so important to us, and all of the having visibility with all the members is just tantamount to what we do. So getting all of our products listed and as visible as possible is huge, and you guys offer the services to let us do so. And I think, the RTI service is just brilliant to be able to have real-time inventory synced with our inventory. Again, authenticity is so crucial to us that we want to make sure that we've got that stamp that says it's connected to our actual system. And as soon as that product gets allocated to a sale, within, I don't know, a couple minutes, it's going to be voided off of the BrokerBin site. And your technical team does an awesome job of keeping that connected and working with the ERPs and so on. To just make it easy for us.
Yes, that's great. I love to hear that, because that's really where we encourage. That's like we've talked many times in this conversation about being real and transparent and just open. And that's as transparent as you can get.
That's what it's about.
This is the most obvious thing you can do to show what inventory that you have.
And we say that hoping more and more companies do join the RTI bandwagon, and there are many, but let's see more do it, so that we can also believe in their inventory. We talk about providing to a lot of resellers, but up in the circular cities, we all depend on one another to have the knowledge that someone down the road has the product that we need to fulfill a system build, because we need to build 20 systems and we only have 3 of the graphics card or 3 of the Ethernet cards that we need. Let's get those in from another provider.
Right. That's great. And so any advice you have for other members, or specifically new members coming on to BrokerBin, on how to maximize their membership? RTI?
Absolutely. Well, RTI. Yeah, use RTI right away. You maybe don't need RTI if you only have 12 parts, right? And sometimes new members are that way, but sometimes it's not. They have a lot. Do your best to get as much descriptive information on there, so that when you're doing the searches, you're finding part numbers, but sometimes exactly what people are looking for, and make sure your conditions are right. We really appreciate that, knowing that it's, if you put new and it's used, we want to know.
Yeah, we want to know too if somebody's doing that.
Well, those are like the easy things, but it's a great, it's a great directory. Go on the map and see where people are. There might be people in your town you don't know, and make some connections. It's a good place for people to connect with one another too, just through that directory. If you meet someone at a show, you can look them up by name or by company and get a little bit more information on who they are. I don't know if everyone uses BrokerBin for credit checks, but in a wholesale industry like ours, we lean on BrokerBin as one of our sources for that, because you're not going to get a lot of great financial information.
Right.
They may have some references, but sometimes it's pretty limited. And to see if others have left them reviews on BrokerBin, if they've really fleshed that out and have a lot of information, it gives us more information to dig in and make sure they're a good provider. To make credit determinations in our industry, it's just, there's limited info, and the more you can add to BrokerBin, the better it allows us to evaluate you as a company too.
Yeah. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the things that we really, really highly encourage is BrokerBin is as much for, buying and selling and bringing buyers and sellers together. But in bringing buyers and sellers together, that means having company profiles. So that people can see who you are and have that company profile completely filled out. And with all of the information that might be relevant, but also having a relationship with our account managers. All of our members have a relationship with an account manager here in the office. And so for you as a user of BrokerBin, you can rely on that profile, but you can also reach out to your account manager. You can also reach out to David and have a conversation with him about our other members,
right?
What are they dealing? What are they doing? What's their, whatever. But we just so encourage. If there's one thing I could ask every single member to do, it would be get that profile completely filled out. It's so helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Links to other platforms or articles or upload images of your facilities and so on, that we can make sure they match what's on Google Maps or whatever, right? But you made a great point about your product managers. You call them account managers. Your account managers. I was thinking the same thing, that use your account manager as a resource. They're so friendly. David Lewis has been incredibly helpful to us for many, many years. We love David. I've worked with Rob over the years as well, and just a great crew of longtime people here.
Yeah.
But they will help you with exactly what you need.
Exactly.
Whether you're going to ask about other members, they can be helpful in pointing you at least to resources there and have some insights. But I think when it comes to using the platform, I'm sure there's tools we don't even, certainly not all of our product managers know about.
Right.
And so learning the different search capabilities and techniques, we're constantly finding new things. And then someone will stand up and say like, hey, I talked to David and he showed me this thing. And then we teach everyone else in our team how to use it.
I love it.
And so using those resources to find out how to use the platform the best way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a lot more to it than just looking up a part number. There's a lot of information there, both on, being able to network with other companies, but then also reporting and data and analytics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The search history lookups and so on. That's good data if you're looking at purchasing. You're going to have multiple data inputs, but that's one of them we look at too.
Yep. And one thing I will say is that all of those evolutions of BrokerBin came from members. Other members saying like, hey, it'd be cool if we could see this.
Yeah.
And then we have a tech team that does a great job of making it happen.
Yeah.
So I say that just to say that if this is something that one member was looking for or felt would be beneficial, it would probably be the case for others, right?
Yeah. Well, we're glad to support you guys and be visible all over that platform because we know it's where our market exists and you guys have done a great job cultivating that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And so what about the roadshows? You guys are sponsoring coming up, Nashville. Thank you for that.
Of course, we're going to have a huge presence there. We're excited to meet a lot of people. I know our guys have been setting up meetings like crazy. Look for the Alta team.
Good.
Yeah, and book meetings with people. There's 8 of us going, including myself.
That's incredible.
Now, we talked about how important meetings are, and that's one of the reasons we're sending a big crew, and I'm going. You want to know what's going on in the industry. Some companies just send salespeople. I think it's important that some of the owners and operators go too, and managers. And so I'm excited to go, but I haven't gone for a long time, Renee. I've been out. We always send our people, but I'm excited to go this year. I'm excited and so I'm looking for some tips from you. What do you think?
Yeah. So my number one tip, and this is a challenge for me to really push home with everyone, is that the more prepared you are ahead of time, the more success you're going to have. So we obviously, this is a meeting, really, essentially, a bunch of meetings, but it's 2.5 days of meetings and networking. But to be able to sit, there's just really no other place or time that you can do this, where you can sit with colleagues, other people in the industry peers, new people you could be doing business with, people that you've been doing business with, where you can sit and do, 40 of those meetings in a couple of days, just like this, just like you and I are having a conversation face to face in person.
How long is each meeting?
20 minutes.
Okay.
20 minutes. So we have that all set up. There's a meeting scheduler, there's time slots, you get logged in. But again, going back to the most amount of success you're going to have is if you prepare for that ahead of time. So I think one of the things that happens in some cases is people come thinking like, oh, I'll just see who I see when I get there. And that works too, I guess. You're not going to have as much success. You're not going to make as meaningful and engaged connections if you don't get yourself registered and then get into that meeting scheduler and then get those meetings scheduled. And then do your prep work ahead of time for who those companies are. Who do you want to meet with and who's requesting to meet with you. And you can meet with people for new business, for just saying hi to somebody that you in person that you've never met before, which happens every single show. Those are my favorite stories, Corey. Every single show, someone will come up to me and say, oh my gosh, we've worked with so-and-so for 10 years on BrokerBin, and this is the first time we've shook hands.
Wow.
That honestly, that just gets me every time.
Yeah, old roadshows I'd gone to meet people in person you've talked to on the phone for years is a neat experience.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so my biggest piece of advice would be to be planful, to be prepared. It's not going to take that much, but to just go in, get into that meeting scheduler, take a look at the other companies, have an idea of who you want to meet with, and then know a little bit about them and where are you at? What does Alta want to accomplish at the show? Who who do you want to connect with?
Mm-hmm.
Side note, if there's somebody you want to connect with and they're not on the list yet, then give me a call and we'll get them to the show or call your account manager.
Absolutely.
But, that's really our goal for these shows is to provide this kind of connection for our members, right?
Great.
We have members in 63 countries, several thousand users, and this is an opportunity to actually sit down, and break bread and have a conversation. And there's obviously always the networking events.
Yeah.
This next event will be in Nashville, so that's going to be super fun.
Really fun. Yeah. Great change of pace. Different facility than Vegas.
Yes.
And fun town, a lot of live music.
Yes.
I think for those that, these planned one-on-one meetings, I know people love them because it really does create this space to have great conversations.
Yes.
And I think your tips are awesome. But some people just like the loose, fun
they do.
collisions of going to a happy hour or an evening event, a dinner, and what have you, and connecting with people there. So you have that opportunity too.
Yeah, for sure. We have 2 receptions, and then Nashville is right out the front door of this hotel.
I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to be intentional about who I'm going to connect with, and then I think even thinking about like what I'd like to talk with each person, and obviously you can use BrokerBin's directory for that too to look people up and see who they are.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome.
That's great. I'm really excited for Nashville.
I'm super excited.
We went. Have you been to?
Not in years. Okay. I hear it's just blown up. But
my gosh, I took our family there for vacation in June.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed at an Airbnb pretty close to downtown, but I got to see the venue that we're hosting at, and man, it is located perfectly, just off of Broadway. Some great shopping.
Okay.
In fact, my husband was there with me. It was a family vacation, obviously, and he's like, I think I'll just stop the credit cards before you go back for this roadshow.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's going to be a great time.
Some good beverages and some live music, and
great
that just
food.
sounds perfect. And a lot of
fun.
great people. I love the people, just the folks in our industry are these great partners that we have and these longstanding relationships, but just a lot of really cool people who have been here for the years, some new folks too, and some new blood. You love to see that, but we're excited to meet a lot of different people, and
I'm
glad you guys
too.
continue to do these hosts, events here and in Europe, and we'll keep showing up for them.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Okay. Well, Corey, how can people find out more about Alta Technologies? Where should we be watching for you guys?
Great. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. Reach out to all of our product managers. You can find everyone's description and the specializations they have on BrokerBin, of course. A great team. We're at altatechnologies.com on all the socials, various handles, but you can find that from the website.
Yeah.
We're not too active there. I'm on LinkedIn and happy to always connect with people, but just generally reach out. If anyone has questions at all about how to connect with anyone on our team or things about Alta or what we're doing, we love to help and support the industry.
That's great.
But generally our product managers are your go-to, and they're all listed on BrokerBin.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, thank you so much, Corey.
Of course,
this has been amazing.
2 U of M grads. We talked forever here, but it was great to talk today. Thanks, Renee. We appreciate it.
Yeah, us too. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks again to Corey Donovan at Alta Technologies for joining the podcast. TradeIQ is a production of BrokerBin, the leading B2B exchange for IT professionals, resellers, and wholesalers. Subscribe to TradeIQ for new episodes as we share the economic stories of IT hardware resale from industry leaders who work tirelessly to expand asset life cycles and eliminate e-waste. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on TradeIQ from BrokerBin.com.